Hi friends, and welcome to another video, and happy early Thanksgiving. In the food blogging world, holidays always happen a few weeks earlier than they actually happen because I have to test all these recipes and prep them and then tell you how delicious they are so you can make them for your own holiday. But that aside, it's almost Thanksgiving, so what are you guys making? Are you gonna make some vegan meals? I hope you do, and today I have 2 yummy Thanksgiving recipes that are made from 8 ingredients or less that you should totally add to your Thanksgiving table this year. We're going to be making a creamy and delicious butternut squash and apple soup that for me is like quintessential to my Thanksgiving celebrations growing up. One of our family friends always made it for us. And then I'm also putting a fun twist on rice stuffing / green bean casserole, and I'm going to show you guys how to make a dump and bake green bean and mushroom casserole with wild rice. Before we get into the recipes, I do want to say I have a ton of Thanksgiving content already here on YouTube and on my blog, so I'm going to have all that linked below. And I have a blog post with over 20 different vegan Thanksgiving recipes for you. So even if these recipes aren't vibing with you, which I think they should, I definitely have something for you, so be sure to check that out too. But without further ado, let's get on to these 2 recipes. JK, I totally lied. I just remembered. You get a 3rd bonus recipe. I'm gonna show you how to make some really easy and yummy cranberry sauce. Okay, now let's get on to the actual recipes.
First up, we're going to be making some cranberry sauce, and this recipe only needs 4 ingredients: cranberries, maple syrup, orange juice, and vanilla extract. You're just going to combine all of these into a medium-sized nonstick pan and then bring them to a boil or heavy simmer over medium-high heat. And as you can see here, the mixture will begin to bubble, and you'll actually begin to hear a popping sound as some of the cranberries start to burst from the heat. So we're just going to continue to cook this down. And over time, the mixture will start to thicken. As you can see here, one thing to keep in mind is that this mixture will continue to thicken as it cools. So you want to stop cooking it a little bit before it reaches your desired texture, just because people typically serve cranberry sauce cold and you don't want it to be like super thick. And then right here, I'm just popping the additional cranberries that didn't pop. That is optional. If you'd like to keep more texture in your cranberry sauce, you can certainly keep them whole as well. Now, this is a very classic cranberry sauce recipe, but it's also really easy to mix it up. So if your family does something different, like add in blueberries, or maybe a cinnamon stick or extra orange just to really amp up that flavor, you can totally add that in here. But I just love the simple combination of cranberries, orange juice, maple syrup, and vanilla. It's really yummy. Next up, I'm going to show you how to make a butternut squash and apple soup. And this combination may sound a little weird, but trust me, it is very delicious. So to start out, we're going to add a splash of vegetable broth or some neutral cooking oil into a pot with a diced yellow onion. And then we're just going to saute this over medium-high heat until it becomes translucent, about 3 to 5 minutes. At this point, we're going to add in our diced apple and some garlic and saute that until the apple starts to soften and the garlic becomes nice and fragrant. And then at that point, we're going to add in our spices. So I am using fresh rosemary and freshly chopped sage. You can use dried, though I really recommend using fresh herbs just because they have so much more flavor. And I'm also adding a touch of black pepper here, but if you don't like black pepper, you could totally leave that out. Then we're just going to saute this for about another minute or so just to begin to heat up those spices. And then at this point, we're going to add in our cubed butternut squash, plus some vegetable broth and some coconut milk to make things nice and creamy. You're going to need about 1 small butternut squash for this recipe, but you can buy pre-cubed squash or even frozen squash if you're looking to save on time. And we're just going to mix everything together, just kind of like the cranberry sauce, bring it to a boil over high heat, and then reduce the heat and simmer until the butternut squash is fork tender. And the good thing about this recipe is we're going to be blending it together, so you don't really need to chop anything too small. Just make sure to chop everything evenly so it all cooks at the same pace. So I just popped that in my blender and blended it until it's nice and smooth and creamy. If you have an immersion blender, you could also use that as well. And the great thing about soup, again, is that you can customize it. So if you like thicker soup, you could take some of the veggie broth out before you blend it. And if you like thinner, you could add in some water and make it even thinner. Here, I just decided to be extra fancy, and I topped my soup with an extra drizzle of coconut milk, some fresh sage leaves, and some freshly ground black pepper. But you can serve it however your little heart desires. And last but not least, we are going to be making some green bean and mushroom wild rice casserole. Sounds like a mouthful, and it's a delicious mouthful, but you only need 8 ingredients to make it. So to start out, we're going to add some vegetable broth to a pot with some dried thyme this time, some black pepper, and some garlic powder. And then you're just going to whisk all of that to sort of evenly incorporate everything. And we're going to bring this to a boil over high heat while our oven preheats for our casserole. So the thing about this dump and bake casserole is that we don't need to cook the rice in advance, but we do need to have the water hot to speed up the cooking process in the oven. So now we're going to layer some sliced green beans, some chopped mushrooms, and some caramelized onions into the base of a large casserole dish. You don't have to caramelize your onions if you don't like to, but I would highly recommend it. It does add a lot of flavor to this recipe, and there are full instructions on how to caramelize onions on my blog. So if you do choose to do that, add that, or not, you can just use a raw onion. Either way, you're just going to spread everything evenly around the pan, and then we're going to top it with a wild rice blend. I got this wild rice blend at my grocery store, but if you can't find anything near you, I do like wild rice because it has a nice hard and hearty bite, but if you can't find it, you can just use brown rice instead. It'll still cook the same. So now we're going to top all of this mixture with our hot vegetable stock, and then we're going to cover it and bake it in the oven for an hour, and everything is going to cook perfectly. So you can just top it with aluminum foil if you'd like, but some people don't like aluminum foil to touch their food, and if that's the case, you can cover it with parchment paper and then a layer of aluminum foil, and it'll still work just as great. But after about an hour, your casserole will look like this. Everything becomes nice and evenly mixed, and the rice is nice and fluffy with no soggies on the bottom. So you can serve this as a Thanksgiving side dish for sure, but honestly, I loved this so much. I happily enjoyed it as a main dish for dinner as well, so it would be great for meal prep too.
And that's it, guys. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite Thanksgiving side dish is. That's actually really hard. Does cornbread count as a side dish? Because cornbread is always my favorite. But in terms of like classic sides, I always really liked stuffing. But I also like creamy casserole, but I also like sweet potato casserole. I don't know, it's really hard. I'll just leave you guys to do the hard work, and I'm just gonna read your responses. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recipe video. Where you got a third bonus recipe, because I totally forgot, but I just didn't feel like refilming the intro. As always, all the recipes are linked below if you want to save them for later, and please don't forget to check out my other Thanksgiving videos and playlists and my blog posts. I have everything you could possibly desire in your Thanksgiving feast, from salads, soups, entrees, side dishes, and desserts, and snacks, I think. So, you know, check it out. And yeah, I hope you guys are having an awesome day, enjoying the sweater weather, maybe, unless you live in a hot climate. Yeah, I'm rambling. But if you're new to my channel and you like what you see here, feel free to hit that little subscribe button. I post 1 to 2 new videos every single week. And I hope you guys just have an awesome day. And I hope you're having a good season so far. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video, hopefully. Bye.